I'm so honored to be with all of you on day 18. The participants of the Faculty Fellowship to Israel program underwent a transformation when we visited Israel. We were able to come back and speak about culture, food, diversity, politics, social justice, research, innovation, advanced technology. We established relationships to do grant writing and research with our colleagues in Israel. We have undergone another transformation. Much like how people were changed on 9/11, on October 7th, we were transformed from allies and advocates of Israel to warriors for Israel. The long-term systematic invasion of our university campuses is alarming, it's dangerous, and it's contributing to loss of life, not just in Israel, but globally. It's like a sister plan to the ground assault in Israel. The same forces that politicize these crimes against humanity are reaching places of higher learning. It is concerning that students do not seem to take positions informed from informed fact and respectful dialogue. The university protected hate groups chanting for death to Jews, for freedom from the river to the sea. These same groups that celebrated the rape, murder, torture of civilians are freely spreading hate on our campuses. This has become a battle between good and evil. It is alarming. I think it's maybe a reflection of the education system in the United States that students lack critical thought and ability to discuss things respectfully, but it's really alarming how easily student opinion is swayed, especially in the face of all of this mounting evidence. Even torture, rape, murder at a Coachella or Burning Man type music festival that you think they could relate to. These are their peers. It's like they have blinders on and they're not able to think logically. I've spent the last 2 weeks explaining what apartheid is and why naming Israel's actions apartheid is wrong. It is jihadist propaganda and an insult to those who've suffered under apartheid. Last week at a meeting of 100 department chairs and deans from institutions all over the United States and my discipline, I shared the letter from the 10 Israeli university presidents. And many of the US university and administrators that I was sharing this with reported that their presidents, if they released a statement, it was very vanilla flavored statements about, we value all life and it's not our practice to take positions in these conflicts. So as a group, we were able to discuss ways to tell the truth about what's happening in Israel while still navigating these cowardly gag orders from our presidents at our institutions. One of my students asked if I was scared to tell the truth, and she's worried for my safety. She said people are being killed that are speaking on the behalf of Israel. Before October 7th, I sometimes would wonder if I lived during World War II, if I would have been quiet, or if I would have spoken out and taken action like my hero, Corrie ten Boom, and her family in Holland. I no longer wonder if I am brave enough. Faculty Fellowship to Israel galvanized my courage. And I want to tell all of you, I'm sorry I'm so emotional about this, but I am speaking from my heart. But I tell you this, that it would be the greatest honor of my life to die saving even one Jewish life. I want to tell you that I am your warrior. I am speaking the truth. I'm fighting against evil, and I'm fighting for good. And I'm just very honored to be asked today to speak about my perspective of what's going on now and how we can be a force of good on our very confused campuses across our great nation. So thank you so much.
So, Professor, thank you for your passionate views today. And, you know, people, even on this Zoom and those that watch at night, don't really understand how important our faculty fellowship program is, and that we take non-Jewish professors from around the country over to Israel to understand, to see everything. We don't hide anything, as you saw on your trip to Israel. If you could tell us just briefly, what was your thoughts before you went to Israel, and what were your thoughts? What were you thinking before you went to Israel, and what did you think when you came back from Israel?
So I had a great privilege of having a very close friend growing up that was Jewish, and as an Irish American Catholic, it was so much fun to go to Passover at their house, and his father would explain why this looked familiar and comparing the Last Supper of Jesus to Passover. And so I grew up with instruction. And so I always wanted to be Jewish. I should take a DNA test to see if there's maybe one drop of blood in me. And so I went there with this incredible bucket list opportunity to visit Israel and look at Israel, not from maybe like a Christian tour that hit all the hot spots, but looking at it academically with 33 faculty of all different disciplines, and to meet people doing the same type of research that I'm doing. How it changed me was just giving me the information that I could speak about. So I could say, I was there, and even though you're hearing this in the news, it's not accurate because I was there, and these are the people that I talked to. And we talked to former prime ministers. We talked to Bedouin leaders in the desert. We talked to Christians making wine in the Galilee. We talked to Druze families. And so, I was able to say I was there, and this is what I saw. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot about, and I don't know how we're doing on time, but I want to tell you a quick story about being welcomed into the Erez crossing. And we were lucky enough to have a bus driver that was an old Army buddy of the commander of that installation. And so we weren't allowed to take cameras, which was too bad because people told us no one will believe that you were here. But we were able to go behind the scenes and see the big screens of people coming across through the Hamas tent in the distance, and then the Palestinian Authority tent, and then cross over. And I am the mother of a special needs, high functioning autistic. And I was very disturbed because watching the video, there was this young man who had to walk through an arch to go through the metal detection and the x-ray machine that did not want to go through. And his mother was distressed and trying to help him. And the soldiers were talking over the intercom saying, ma'am, you cannot touch your son. He needs to walk through on his own. And he was just shaking, and it was very disturbing to me. But then we were able to go on the Israeli side where the Gazans were coming through and speak to them. And so I spoke to 5 Arab men that came across to work for the day because they were not able to earn enough money in Gaza to provide for their families. And as this one big, tough Arab man was talking, he got tears in his eyes, and I was standing in front of him, and we both kind of leaned in. And before I knew it, we were in a huge bear hug. And it was just a dad hugging a mom. And all I could think was, if Hamas could see him hugging a Christian woman from California, they would execute him. And then I had an opportunity to talk to this young man who was now in his wheelchair and recovered. And I just knelt down and looked him in the eyes, and I was sure he couldn't understand what I was saying, but I said, oh, you have the most beautiful eyes, and look at that smile. And we just kind of snuggled a little bit, and I told him how wonderful he was. And I was getting up to leave, and the mom leaned over and gave me a side hug and said, "Thank you so much for seeing my son." And she did speak English and heard those words. And that was so transformational for me. But on October 7th, when I learned that the terrorists had destroyed the Era's humanitarian crossing, and they not only killed all of the soldiers that were there, but also all the Gazans that were coming across. So I was upset about these innocent lives. But then a few days later, when we learned that Gazans that had work permits had maps of the kibbutzes where they worked in their pockets with the names of who was sleeping in each bedroom and the dog and all of that, I felt just so fooled and betrayed. And when we hear today arguments about, we want 20 trucks of aid of food to go into Gaza and no one's letting us, I thought about the 20 trucks that I saw from those same kibbutzes that had lost people to Gazan bombs over the years. 20 trucks trundling down into the gate to bring food in. I'm like, well, if Gaza had not invaded, they still would be getting aid from Israel and support from Israel. So just being able to say I was there and this is the truth. And when you hear the propaganda about Israel trying to take over Gaza, that is just not true. They gave Gaza to the Palestinian people. And so it's just a lot of correction of the misinformation that is very prevalent in our news and on our college campuses.